Hello, I'm Tracy Grimshaw. Welcome to A Current Affair. Tonight, a special investigation. The secretive religious group that's making a fortune from Australian taxpayers. We go inside the exclusive Brethren. Live to Ben McCormack with the details. Ben?
Yes, Tracy, after so many years of bad publicity, mainly caused by the Brethren breaking up so many families, it's decided to try and improve its image. They've hired an expensive PR firm, they've changed their name, and now they're turning up to some unusual places to do charity work.
They're not the exclusive Brethren anymore. They're the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church.
Why aren't your students allowed to go to university?
I've got a job to do, is that right?
It's got a new name, but it's the same old Brethren with even more control.
There will not be an interview today.
Bruce Hales, the leader of the exclusive Brethren, says you need to get a hatred of the world.
I'll just warn you in 5 minutes, if you don't get off,
have you got a fear of the government of God?
It's control. I mean, it's all about control.
I really haven't got anything to say on that.
Dogmatic, dictatorial and bizarre ruling.
I saw a beast coming out of the sea.
I would describe them as a controlling, financially oriented, incredibly wealthy cult.
October last year, as fires rage in the Blue Mountains in New South Wales, teams of volunteers swing into action to help, including the highly visible Rapid Relief Team. They're busy preparing and serving up food and drinks to weary and grateful firefighters.
I don't think I've ever had catering like this on the fire ground, set up so quick.
What many people here don't realise is that the Rapid Relief Team is actually the secretive sect known as the Exclusive Brethren.
It's a strategy, and a very clever one, that's been instituted from the top.
It's not just the New South Wales bushfires. The well-equipped Rapid Relief Team suddenly shows up to help at the Grampians fire in Victoria in January, and then at the Barossa Valley in South Australia. They even send a choir to a nursing home affected by the bushfires in New South Wales.
They are trying to make themselves look better, and they've, employed a very expensive public relations company to do that.
For a group that is so secretive and so determined to keep themselves separate from the world, which they consider the domain of the devil, this is unprecedented.
It's a very clever strategy because they can't really be criticised for this. People might say, oh yeah, well they might have been this terrible closed group that's done all these things in the past, but look at them now.
It's all just clever marketing.
Well, I would call it rebranding.
And it has no basis in how the experience of your average Exclusive Brethren member has changed. It hasn't changed at all.
Get out of here, I'll beat the whole...
After years of bad press, including ugly confrontations, building their mega meeting places in residential areas, not to mention ruining countless lives with their forced family separations, and exposed for supporting John Howard's election campaigns, the Exclusive Brethren is now on a major PR offensive. They've got a new name and a new approach to charity. But as you're about to see, the Rapid Relief Team is not just about helping others.
It's all to do with their charitable status. They are absolutely committed and insistent that they must retain their charitable status because it means so much to them.
Tonight we take you inside the modern-day Exclusive Brethren. We'll show you how its world leader, Australian Bruce Hales, has the technology to oversee all of its members, as he enjoys a life of luxury, receiving millions in tax-free donations every year. Make no mistake, the Exclusive Brethren is a money-making machine. And as you're about to see, this secret society that wants nothing to do with the rest of us is sponging off hard-working Australians by working the tax system and milking Centrelink for every cent they can. And that's not all. We'll show you how Brethren school children are getting more government funding than many other Aussie school kids.
Well, I think ordinary Aussie workers would be horrified if they knew how much tax the Exclusive Brethren, an incredibly wealthy religious group, was managing to extract from the ordinary taxpayers, and how much benefit they get in return from Australian taxpayers.
I was born into it. I knew nothing else. I'm third generation. My parents were in it, and their parents. He was under a lot of pressure at that time.
Peter Flynn calls himself a survivor. After growing up in the Brethren, he got out at age 21, managing to start a new life without the controlling cult.
I was one of the lucky ones, and because of that I suffer a little bit from what could be called survivor guilt. You know, why did I get through this okay, and so many people that I know have lost their wives, parents, children, jobs, careers. They've got severe mental health problems. This is the damage that's been inflicted by this organisation over not years but decades.
The Brethren have always had a doctrine of separation, believing they are in this world but are not of this world. They have a rigid code of conduct, no television, radios or newspapers, and their members are not allowed to vote. And they don't hesitate to excommunicate anyone who steps out of line.
Absolutely, they believe they are morally superior to the rest of us. They think that they are the chosen ones. They believe, like most cults do, that they kind of have some special access to knowledge and truth that the rest of us don't have, and that gives them a feeling of superiority over the rest of us.
This is the mysterious Bruce Hales. He's the Sydney accountant who became the world leader of the exclusive Brethren. Just how powerful is Bruce Hales?
Very powerful. Very powerful. I mean, he has ultimate control of the lives, the businesses of, what is it, something like 40 to 45,000 people worldwide.
Like so many religious leaders, Bruce Hales is rich, very rich. He lives in this enormous luxury home in Sydney's northwest. He's driven around like a rock star in cars with tinted windows and has security guards. And he flies around the world in a private jet.
Totally elusive to the rest of the world. He's never been interviewed by a media organisation, and so he leads this incredibly wealthy, incredibly secluded, secretive life where he is as a god to the 40-odd thousand people in his cult.
Fairfax reporter Michael Bachelard has been investigating the Brethren for years. He's even written a book about the cult. He says Bruce Hales runs a successful furniture business, but that's not what he says has made Hales so wealthy.
The bulk of his income, I would suggest, is from the flock around the world who give these donations in white envelopes in cash every month or so, which go back to the world leader and to his immediate circle. It's again impossible to tell how much is in those envelopes, but they would be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, flowing into the coffers tax-free under the guise of donations to Bruce Hales.
In 2003, Bruce Hales pulled off a really neat trick. He ordered that the title deeds for every Brethren school in the world, including this one, be put into his name. The estimated value, $4 billion. Not only did it make him one of the single biggest property owners in the world, but it also guaranteed his leadership, because if the Brethren faithful ever decided to get rid of him, they'd lose the lot.
If you look at what Jesus did and how he lived and what he did, the contrast between him and Bruce Hales is stark.
2005 was a time of change for the Brethren. The money-savvy Hales changed the focus from scripture to wealth creation. He ran seminars preaching business instead of the Bible, encouraging Brethren to set up their own small companies. And when it was discovered the cult's strict ban on technology was getting in the way of making money, the rules were conveniently changed.
Exclusive Brethren are now allowed computers, they're allowed mobile phones, but they have to buy them from an Exclusive Brethren company. The computers are doctored so that only Exclusive Brethren endorsed websites and software is on it. And that they also have software on it allowing, I'm told, the people in the central office of the Exclusive Brethren to monitor what they're doing, which websites they're visiting, where their mobile phone goes, and so on.
There are now over 1,000 Brethren businesses in Australia, and thanks to the computer system they're forced to use, Bruce Hales now has the technology to know everything about them.
What I do know is that Bruce Hales can monitor very easily the operations of any business, any Brethren business.
The Brethren buy and sell to each other and give each other jobs and home and business loans, all designed to keep Brethren money in the Brethren.
Under Bruce Hales' leadership, it's veered strongly in the direction of being a business money-making club with this strong religious overtone, which is used to keep the club exclusive and rich.
And the system is set up so they pay as little tax as possible. Here's how it works. Each Brethren business is run by a family trust, which means until its profits are paid out, they're tax-free. Some of those profits are funneled directly into Brethren schools in the form of donations and school fees, which keeps them tax-free. The profits left over are then income split into many small amounts for members of large Brethren families. And if those amounts are kept under $12,000 each, they're also tax-free.
Some very wealthy exclusive Brethren families actually are able to minimise their tax to the point where they are able to claim welfare payments as well as getting this tax-free benefit.
That's right, the exclusive Brethren, who pay little or no tax, have no problem taking money earned by other Australians in the form of Centrelink payments.
They know exactly where the thresholds are and they aim to get in below them so that they can start taking welfare payments. If a child leaves home and is without work for a time, they are right on it. They get their welfare payments instantly. They know Centrelink's processes backwards and forwards.
Should they be allowed to get away with this?
No, I think the exclusive Brethren should be paying tax in the same way that other Australians pay tax.
Not only do the Brethren take whatever they can legally from you and me, the taxpayer, they've also managed to secure some of the most generous government grants for their schools. For some bizarre reason, Brethren schools get more money per student from taxpayers than most other Australian private schools.
The Sydney school, for example, gets as much money per student as, say, the King's School or the top private schools in New South Wales get.
In Queensland, each student at the Brethren Agnew School gets $8,154 of public money, but students at Nudgee College get $7,729. In Victoria, a Brethren student at the Glenvale School at Broadmeadows gets $8,767 of public money, whereas students at Caulfield Grammar get $4,092. And in New South Wales, a Brethren student at the MET school gets $9,465 of public money, compared to a Scots College student, less than half that, $3,000.
I think Australians would probably be shocked if they understood what went on in those schools to keep the Brethren in this tight, heavily controlled community and how much of our taxpayer money was being spent on it.
Even more shocking considering Brethren students are not allowed to go to university. Do you think it's fair that this school takes so much public money yet the students aren't allowed to go to university? Considering the huge amounts of donations and public money being poured into these schools, it's hard to see where it's all going. There's no manicured playing fields or Olympic swimming pools here.
You could ask the question, are the schools laundering money for other parts of the Brethren enterprise? Does all of this tax-free money make it through to the education of the children? And I simply don't know the answer to that question.
How does an organisation that does so much damage to individuals and to families get so much public money in the form of government grants?
Well, that's exactly the question that we've been asking, and I don't know the answer. But the fact is that governments in general are very wary of being accused of discriminating against religious groups in terms of funding.
I think the torch should be shone on the exclusive Brethren's tax-free status, because that's a gift, a subsidy from all Australian taxpayers. And if they're not meeting the conditions of why we give them that tax benefit, they should lose it. They claim one school.
Tim Costello, the boss of World Vision, says it's time the government place more scrutiny on not-for-profit organisations like the Brethren.
It needs transparency always to ask of my organisation, of any church, are you still doing that good? That's what the taxpayer expects. That should be looked at. That should be transparent.
Absolutely amazing.
Which brings us back to the Rapid Relief Team. Many believe the Brethren are making this very public gesture of goodwill so they don't lose the huge financial benefit of having tax-free status.
They are absolutely committed and insistent that they must retain their charitable status because it means so much to them.
The Gillard government established the Australian Charities and Not-for-Profits Commission to try and monitor groups like the Brethren. Tony Abbott now plans to abolish it.
There is, no hope in my mind that these people will be brought to heel or even be asked to pay the same amount of tax under the same arrangements that the rest of Australia pays.
All inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast.
So they'll go on milking the system?
They will go on milking the system.
For the record, we approached the Brethren requesting a formal on-camera interview in relation to the issues raised in tonight's program. They wouldn't commit unless we provided all questions in advance, a request that we declined. Our offer remains open.
October last year, as fires rage in the Blue Mountains in New South Wales, teams of volunteers swing into action to help, including the highly visible Rapid Relief Team. They're busy preparing and serving up food and drinks to weary and grateful firefighters.
I don't think I've ever had catering like this on the fire. The Brethren breaking up so many families, it's decided to try and improve its image. They've hired an expensive PR firm, they've changed their name, and now they're turning up to some unusual places to do charity work.
They're not the exclusive Brethren anymore. They're the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church.
Why aren't your students allowed to go to university?
I've got a job to do, is that right?
It's got a new name, but it's the same old Brethren with even more control.
There will not be an interview today.
Bruce Hales, the leader of the exclusive Brethren, says you need to get a hatred of the world.
I'll just warn you in 5 minutes, if you don't get off,
Have you got a fear of the government of God?
Hello, I'm Tracy Grimshaw. Welcome to A Current Affair. Tonight, a special investigation. The secretive religious group that's making a fortune from Australian taxpayers. We go inside the exclusive Brethren. Live to Ben McCormack with the details. Ben?
Yes, Tracy, after so many years of bad publicity, mainly caused by...
It's control. I mean, it's all about control.
I really haven't got anything to say, mate.
Dogmatic, dictatorial and bizarre rulings.
I saw a beast coming out of the sea.
I would describe them as a controlling, financially oriented, incredibly wealthy cult.